इसको चला दे। इसको स्टार्ट कर दीजिए। ये माइक स्टार्ट नहीं है, ऑन है ये तो। So in the last class we talked about later Vedic literatures. This is Vedic culture. The first half is early Vedic. Because this is the early part of Vedic age, and during the time only one Veda was composed, Rig Veda. So early Vedic also called as Rig Vedic period. 1500 BC to 1000 BC, early Vedic or Rig Vedic period. Second half is later Vedic period. One thousand to near about 600 BC, later Vedic period, later half, second half. So during the time we talked about three Vedas were composed, composition happened, writing was absent because script was absent. So three Vedas we talked about, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda. Then we also talked about Brahmanas, a class of the literatures which are the comment and commentaries on the Vedas. Then we talked about Aranyaks, forest book. And then we talked about a class of the book literature, very important is Upanishads. Upanishads are philosophical book, contemplation about Atma, God, Supreme Soul, relation of Satma and Paramatma, talked about rebirth, doctrine of karma and deed we talked about. We talked about this thing last class. So we have total 108 Upanishads. In some of the books you will find 200 Upanishads, both are correct. 108 Upanishads or sometime 200 Upanishads, because suppose this is one Upanishad and if part of this Upanishad is treated as separate, number will go up. So this is the reason why in some of the books you will find 200 Upanishads, but conventional number is 108 Upanishads. Clear? And some of the Upanishads are very important. And some of the Upanishads were composed during later Vedic age. So such Upanishads are called as early Upanishads. And some Upanishads, majority Upanishads were composed later on, written down as well after end of Vedic age. So such Upanishads are called as later Upanishads. Later Upanishads. So some are very important, and they may be asking questions on which Upanishad, in this Upanishad, which slogan, important contemplations, philosophy. So we are picking up some of the important Upanishads from your pre-perspective. Exam point of view. For example, one of the Upanishads is Mundaka Upanishad. Mundaka Upanishad is one of the Upanishads. Why this is important? Because in this Mundaka Upanishad we have reference of truth prevails. Satyamev Jayate. Satya means truth, Jayate means victory. Satyameva Jayate, our national emblem is Ashok Chakra. Ashok Chakra, Government of India, national emblem. ठीक है? अशोक चक्र कहाँ से लिया गया है? For which place this is lifted? Ashoka pillar. We'll come to ancient India and we talk about the king Ashoka. Ashoka had issued many pillars, and some of the pillars are carved pillars. On these, or the top of the pillars, we have the carvings. So one of the pillars of Ashoka was at place Sarnath. Sarnath is the place in Uttar Pradesh. And why Sarnath? Ashoka placed this pillar because Sarnath was the place where Gautam Buddha delivered first teaching. We'll come to Buddhism. Very important for Buddhists. Sarnath. Gautam Buddha after one will. Gautam Buddha after attaining enlightenment delivered the first teaching sermon. Place was Sarnath. Ashoka was a Buddhist king. So at Sarnath, Ashoka placed a pillar. In this pillar we have 4 lions sitting back to back. This is the Government of India national emblem. In this emblem we have a slogan, Satyameva Jayate. So from where this slogan is lifted from? Mundaka Upanishad. And this was one of the questions in UPSC civil service exam some time back. So Mundaka Upanishad is important. One is clear. Mundaka is clear. Next. Next. In some of the schools we have the slogan Tamasoma Jyotirgame. Tamas means darkness. Jyotir means light. Oh God, bring me from darkness to light. This slogan taken from a Upanishad, Brihad Aranyak Upanishad. Also very important. Brihad Aranyak Upanishad, also one of the Upanishads in which we have reference of bring me from darkness to light. Tamas means darkness, Jyotir means light. Oh God, bring me from darkness to light. This is a very popular slogan in the schools. Clear? 2 is clear? 2 is clear? Next. Other very important Upanishad is Maha Upanishad. Maha Upanishad is also very important because in this Maha Upanishad, we have the reference that entire world is one family. That is Vasudev Kutumbakam. Kutumb is family. Vasudev is entire world. So Vasudev Kutumbakam, that was the theme of the G20 summit, which was held in New Delhi. So Vasudev Kutumbakam, a very important slogan, mean entire world is one family. Universe is one family. Taken from this Upanishad. ठीक है? So they may be asking all these type of factual questions. Maybe if the conceptual question they are asking, they will give you some of the options. What is true about Upanishad? Upanishad is about philosophy. Upanishad is about the knowledge. Upanishad is about the materialism. Answer will be philosophy. Clear? Then we have Taittiriya Upanishad. In this Upanishad we have guest is like the god. Atithi Devo Bhava. Atithi means guest. Dev means God. Bhava means like. So when guest comes to house, we have the very popular reception for the guest. Atithi Devo Bhava, taken from Taittiriya Upanishad. Taittiriya Upanishad. Clear? Hai? So some of the important Upanishads we are discussing. These very popular slogans. Even present, even today, these slogans are used. Next. Speed is okay for all of you? पेस ठीक है क्लास का? Speed, not the fast class today. Next. During later Vedic phase, one of the Upanishads were composed, that is early Upanishad. This Upanishad is Chandogya Upanishad. Chandogya Upanishad is one of the early Upanishads, means it was composed during later Vedic phase. This is the first book in which we have reference of a new social system in India which had appeared during later Vedic phase. A new social system, a new thing appeared in society, and this is called as ashram system. Ashramaj. What is ashramaj? Ashramaj is division of the life into a stage. Ashramaj means division of the life into a stage. First stage is studentship. During this stage, you have to study only, and this is called as brahmacharya. Brahmacharya ashram. Brahmacharya ashram means celibacy. Brahmacharya means celibacy. No any sexual relation during this period. During a study, any type of sexual intercourse was absolutely banned. So this studentship is called as brahmacharya, celibacy. This is a time of study. We have to go to teacher's home for study, complete the study, come back to the house, get married, then second stage starts. When you come back after education to the household, get married, beget the children, take care of the wife and child. So this is the second stage called as grihastha stage, householdship, after brahmacharya. So first stage, first ashram is brahmacharya, studentship, during which no any sexual activities, that is absolutely banned. Brahmacharya called celibacy, followed by second stage, have to come back to the household, get married, take care of child and wife. That is householdship. That is grihasthashram. Householdship. Grihasthashram. And suppose somebody is very fed up with this marriage. Why I married? That was my biggest mistake. And all. Repent. For those people, we have the optional ashram, not mandatory. Both are mandatory. Optional for somebody who is not adjusting to this married life. And for them, third ashram is Vanaprastha ashram. Vanaprastha ashram, third ashram. For temporary period, you can leave the household, go to forest, do meditations, but you have to come back to the household to take care of the wife and child. So this is not asceticism. This is temporary recluse period. Temporary recluse, not permanent. Okay. So all three ashrams, first time referred in this book, Chandogya Upanishad. So for the first time in Chandogya Upanishad, a new social system was mentioned, that is ashram system. Ashram division of the life into three stages. But later on, after end of Vedic period, other Upanishad was composed, and this Upanishad is Jawaharlal Upanishad. So Jawaharlal Upanishad was composed after Chandogya, after end of Vedic period. And this Jawaharlal Upanishad is the first book in which we have all the four ashrams mentioned. So total number of ashrams in Hinduism is the four. And all the four ashrams mentioned for the first time in Jawaharlal Upanishad. And fourth ashram is sannyas, complete renunciation from householdship. Complete renunciation means asceticism. Ascetic. Great persons of the world like Gautam Buddha, undoubtedly greatest of great. ठीक है, गौतम बुद्ध. गौतम बुद्ध took वानप्रस्थ और संन्यास. गौतम बुद्ध. Mahavira, Jainism, both took sannyas. And both get enlightenment. So this fourth ashram, sannyas ashram, did not appear during Vedic period. After end of Vedic period, sannyas ashram appeared. Example is Gautam Buddha passed through sannyas. Mahavira passed through sannyas. Complete ascetic. No coming back to householdship. Once Gautam Buddha left the home, he didn't came back to live as a householder. Not. ठीक है? So these two places is clear. ठीक है या नहीं है? Clear है? So this is all about your Upanishads. Sufficient, more than sufficient. We have to do only important Upanishads, and not all the 108 Upanishads. Even I am not aware of all the 108 Upanishads. It is not about mugging up the fact. जितना है सब पढ़ लो नहीं. Not required. ठीक है? Upanishad is clear. After Upanishad, during later Vedic age, the books are very important for exam. Very important. Even in the IAS examination, very important. All the time they are asking the questions from the literatures. And literature is a specially mentioned topic in the mains exam. IAS में भी है, आपके exam में भी, दोनों है. Because your exam is the complete copy of civil service UPSC exam. Complete copy. Word to word. ठीक है? Next. ठीक है सबको, everyone. ठीक है? During later Vedic phase, a class of the books were composed, and these books are called as epics. Epics are books, composition of the epics during later Vedic period. Not Rig Vedic period, after end of Rig Vedic period, later Vedic phase. Epic means Mahakavya. So we have two epics or two Mahakavya Maha means great or large. Kavya means poetic book. So we have two Mahakavyas or two epics. Two in North India and two in South India as well. We'll come to South India history separately. So we have the two epics, and both the epics were composed during later Vedic period, and because the script was absent, so both the epics were initially oral books, orally composed, because there was no script, and both the epics being in Sanskrit language, and this Sanskrit was archaic Sanskrit, not the classical Sanskrit, not like Sanskrit of Kalidas, not. That is the primitive Sanskrit, simple Sanskrit, archaic Sanskrit also called as. Discuss किया था. Vedas are not in classical Sanskrit. Vedas are in archaic Sanskrit, simple Sanskrit. So both the epics are in simple Sanskrit. ठीक है. One of the epics is originally called as Jai Samhita. Jai means victory, Samhita means book or text, book of victory. Jai Samhita called as. So Jai Samhita, original name of present Mahabharat. Jai Samhita was original name of present epic Mahabharat. And why it was called as Jai Samhita? Because this is the book of a war. This war between 5 Pandavas and 100 Kauravas, war between Kauravas and Pandavas. Pandavas 5 in number, but this Pandava were supported by God Krishna, because these Pandavas were fighting for truth, and Kauravas were symbol of representation of untruth. So this war was between truth and untruth. Clear? Eh? So this war was fought at a place called Kurukshetra. This war was fought at a place called Kurukshetra in Haryana. And this war lasted for about 18 days. This war lasted for about 18 days. Okay. Kurukshetra is the place in Haryana. Haryana. West of Delhi, Haryana. Okay. We have archaeological evidence of a war at Kurukshetra, and dating of this war is about 900 BC. We have archaeological evidence of a war, but this war was not a very big war in which God participated. This war was a war between two clans. So this war could have been exaggerated. Exaggerated by whom? Who composed this Jai Samhita? Who composed Jai Samhita? Who is composer of Jai Samhita? Ved Vyas. Ved Vyas was a bard, traveler and singer who composed the songs for patron. So this Jai Samhita is a bardic literature. Because this was composed by a bard. Bard is clear. Travelers and singers in Bengal area, Assam area. These bards are called as baul. Travelers and singers. So this is bardic literature composed by a bard, Ved Vyas. Okay? So he had exaggerated this war, that this was such big war in which even God Krishna participated. Clear? Hai? So we are not questioning the existence of God Krishna. We are not going into that controversy. Whether Krishna God was present or not, historical evidence or not. So this is mythology is different, history is different. So we are not going into details of the authenticity of the God. This is a belief of the people, so you have to respect the belief of the people. Clear, eh? So we have the evidence of a war. But this war was Mahabharata war. Of this text may not be. May not be. Clear, everyone? In this Jaya Samhita, originally, we have total number of verses 8,800 in Sanskrit. Total number of verses in Jaya Samhita being 8,800 in Sanskrit. Original Jaya Samhita. Clear? So this is the book about a war at Kurukshetra, Pandava Kaurav war, Pandava backed by God Krishna. God Krishna. This war lasted for 18 days. Originally, this was only about 8,800 number of verses. But later on, after end of Vedic period, the number of verses now went up. Some new additions happened. So from 8,800, after 600 BC, some additions happened. Number of verses went up to 24,000 verses. Name got changed. Jaya Samhita became Bharat. Jaya Samhita, now called as Bharat, when some additions happened, number of additions was total verses into Bharat being 24,000 verses in Sanskrit. Much later on, after end of Mauryan period, after 200 BC, many more additions happened. New verses were added into this Bharat. Number now went up to little over 1 lakh verses. Little over 1 lakh verses in this Bharat book. And this 1 lakh verses now, this was inflated to little over 1 lakh. This was called as Mahabharata. So Mahabharata was written down after Mauryan period because a script already appeared. So no use of early composition of the books. So now Mahabharata was written down after 200 BC. In this Mahabharata, we have little over 1 lakh verses. Then this is the world's largest book in poetic form. No book in the world with over 1 lakh verses in Sanskrit poetic form. Clear, eh? In this Mahabharata, most important edition was Bhagavad Gita. So Gita is the part of Mahabharata. Gita is not the part of Bharat. Gita was not the part of Jaya Samhita. So editions of Bhagavad Gita much later. And this Bhagavad Gita was the teaching or sermon delivered by Krishna God to Arjun, one of the Pandavas. Clear, everyone? So how from Jaya Samhita, this epic transformed into Mahabharata with new editions. And this Bhagavad Gita is a wonderful book. In this Bhagavad Gita, we have great philosophies. Do the work. Don't think about the fruit of the work. Stick to your work. यही बोला है ना महाभारत. जो वर्क है काम करो. आपका वर्क क्या है? करना काम. एग्जाम पास करना. अब एग्जाम होगा नहीं होगा, who cares? Don't think about the fruit of the work. Do honest work. Fruit will come automatically. ठीक है? ऐसे यहीं से होता है आपका. You have जैसे पेपर, ऐसे फिलोसॉफिकल कोटेशंस होता है. फिलोसोफर का कोटेशन हो गया ऐसे में. कुछ कांट का दे देगा, प्लेटो का देगा, अरिस्टोटल का देगा, भागवत गीता का श्लोक होगा कुछ और उसको समझाना होगा आपको. ठीक है? तो ऐसे का थोड़ा फिलोसॉफिकल कर लेना आप लोग. भगवत गीता का इंपॉर्टेंट जो कोट्स है, यू मस्ट प्रिपेयर दीज कोट्स. भगवत गीता. तो महाभारत इज क्लियर. वन ऑफ द एपिक्स इज क्लियर. सेकेंड एपिक, second is Ramayana. We have two epics, both in Sanskrit. अभी क्या हुआ है? एडिशंस का हुआ है. महाभारत into English has been, महाभारत into Hindi has been, but originally Mahabharata was in Sanskrit language. Like Mahabharata and Jaya Samhita, Ramayana also was into Sanskrit language. Original Ramayana. And this is the reason why sometimes this original Ramayana is called as Adi Ramayana. Adi means old. Who composed Adi Ramayana? Original Ramayana? Valmiki. Valmiki also was a bard who composed the original Ramayana called Adi Ramayana in Sanskrit language. In this Adi Ramayana, how many verses in this original Ramayana? Adi Ramayana? Only 6,000. Only 6,000 verses in this Adi Ramayana. Composed by, why composed in later Vedic age? We don't have a script. The script was absent. So both the epics were originally oral texts. Both. So Adi Ramayana was composed by Valmiki ji. This is the story about Ram, ideal person Ram, now worshipped as Ram God, Hindu God Ram ji. Temple Ayodhya में इनके very important temple Ayodhya temple. The story of Ram ji, wife Sita, demon Ravan. A long story of Ram, Sita and Ravan. Ram ji, Sita ji and Ravan. ठीक है? Ravan abducted Sita. Ram with help of Hanuman God attacked on Sri Lanka. Ravan was killed. Sita was rescued. A long story. So this is the story of Ramji and not Ramayana. 6,000 verses only. Clear? Later on, in this Ramayana, we have lot of additions. Lot of additions. Lot of new Ramayans. Presently, for example, we have about 300 Ramayans. About 300 Ramayans in different areas. Ramayana of Maharashtra of tribe, Ramayana of tribe of Kerala, Ramayana of Giants, Ramayana of Indonesia. So total 300 Ramayans. ठीक है? Most popular Ramayana is Ramcharitmanas. Ramcharitmanas. Most popular Ramayana authored by devotee of Ram God, Tulsidas ji. Tulsidas ji who wrote, now writing happened because Tulsidas ji was in medieval India around 1575 during time of Mughal King Akbar. Tulsidas ji wrote Ramcharitmanas, most popular Ramayana. In this Ramcharitmanas, there are a lot of editions. In Ramcharitmanas, for example, total number of verses is 24,000. 4 times increase from 6,000 to 24,000. Total number of verses with additions of new chapters, new themes in this Ramcharitmanas. And this Ramcharitmanas was in Awadhi language because Tulsidas ji was from Awadh area of Uttar Pradesh. Awadhi, a dialect of Awadh region. Awadh means Lucknow and Faizabad area of Uttar Pradesh. So we have Ramcharitmanas authored by Tulsidas ji. And Tulsidas ji was contemporary of Mughal Badshah Akbar. Akbar was king of India from 1556 to 1605. And during his time, Tulsidas ji authored Ramcharitmanas. This is Akbar timing of Mughal king Akbar, 1556 to 1605. So during time of Mughal Badshah Akbar, Tulsidas ji wrote Ramcharitmanas, most popular Ramayana of North India. In South India, we have a different Ramayana. And this Ramayana is Tamil Ramayana because this Ramayana is in Tamil language, authored by Kamban. And Kamban was the court poet of Cholas of South India during early medieval time. So three Ramayans are important. Adi Ramayana of Valmiki ji, Ramcharitmanas of Tulsidas ji, and Tamil Ramayana are also sometimes called as Dravid Ramayana. Dravid means South India. Dravida Ramayana or Tamil Ramayana because language was Tamil. Author was Kamban. And Kamban was the court poet of Chola dynasty. We'll come to Cholas. Cholas were great rulers of South India. So we have the two epics, Mahabharata and Ramayana. And both epics were composed during later Vedic age in Sanskrit language. Which is older, Mahabharata or Ramayana? Which is older, Ramayana, Mahabharata? Mahabharata. Because according to history, Mahabharata is older than Ramayana. Firstly, Mahabharata was composed and then Ramayana was composed according to historical evidences. Because Mahabharata was fought in Kurukshetra. Ramayana theme was in Ayodhya, Uttar Pradesh. And Aryans migration happened from northwest part of India to southeast direction of India. So firstly came Mahabharata, then came Ramayana. The language of Mahabharata is very crude. Ramayana is slightly refined. So language development was from crude to refined. But according to mythology, according to belief of the people, according to mythology, Ramayana is older than Mahabharata. Firstly, Ramayana was composed and then Mahabharata was composed according to mythology, belief of the Hindus. Okay? So according to what is mythology and what is history? History is actual happening and somebody watched that happening and wrote the account of those happening. So those who wrote the account is historian. And what is mythology? May not be actual happening of the event. That is simply belief of the people that this event happened long time back. And this event was watched by somebody else and nobody actually watched this event. So mythology is the belief. So according to mythology, Ramayana older than Mahabharata because according to Hindu belief, we have four age. Oldest was Satyug. Then we have Treta Yug, then Dwapar, and then Kalyug. And Ramji was during Treta Yug. So firstly Ram came, and then Krishna came during Dwapar Yug. In Mahabharata, we have reference of Hanumanji, who became very old. So this is clear. According to mythology, Ramayana older than Mahabharata. So go the question very carefully. If the question is according to mythology, which is older? Answer will be Ramayana. But if they are asking simple question, which is older? Go for historical account, that is Mahabharata. ठीक है? But अगर उसमें लगा है कि according to mythology, which is older, means Ramayana. So answer will change according to the nature of the question they are asking. Clear, everyone? So this is all about your Vedic literatures. Any question from literature? So we talked about Vedic age literature. Hmm. Any doubt? Question? समझ में सबको ठीक है? समझ में ठीक आता है? समझ में है? ठीक है? Class is comfortable to all of you? सिंपल करके पढ़ाता है एकदम. ये तो समझ में आ जाना चाहिए. हिस्ट्री वैसे ही बहुत ईजी है. और हिस्ट्री समझ में नहीं आता है तो बहुत डिफिकल्ट है. तो देन गॉड विल हेल्प यू. ठीक है. So now come to Vedic period. Vedic age में, during Vedic age, you make a chart. Early Vedic period or Rig Vedic period. Then second half is later Vedic period. During early Vedic phase, what was social development, society, and what was the change in society during later Vedic phase. So always study through chart, and we will discuss only from pre-perspective. This was question in the IS exam. Discuss the changes in society and economy during Vedic culture. Art and culture का question था civil services में 2 year back. But we will be doing here the thing only from pre-point of view, not from the mains point of view. ठीक है? So firstly come to early Vedic society. Rig Vedic society means 1500 to 1000 BC. And the only text for this page is Rig Veda. Only literary text during the time is Rig Veda. So whatever is mentioned in Rig Veda, that is our source of information for social condition of the time. Plus some excavations by ASI, archaeological evidence as well. Some archaeological evidence as well. But mainly literary evidence, the Rig Veda. ठीक है? So in Rig Veda we have reference of Aryan society. In the Rig Veda we have some reference of those who were not speaking Sanskrit language, were living in India before coming of Aryans. So we are calling those social groups as non-Aryans. So difference between Aryans and non-Aryans was basically linguistic difference. Non-Aryans were those who were speakers of languages other than Sanskrit. Aryans were those speakers of Sanskrit language. Number one difference. And some physical difference as well. Aryans, for example, were fair skinned. Non-Aryans, for example, were black skinned. So some physical differences as well, but mainly linguistic differences. So this Rig Veda mainly talked about Aryan society, less about non-Aryan society. So we have the 3 terms in Rig Veda. 3 terms are important. One term is Dasa, other term is Dasyu, other term is Panij. Most likely, the 3 social groups were non-Aryans because they did not speak Sanskrit language. They were dark-skinned. Their culture was different from Aryan culture. ठीक है? So Dasas were social groups. Rig Veda talked about Dasa. Later on, this Dasa term used for slave. Later on, Dasa term used for slave. Slaves were those who were purchased by somebody else, their master. So we have sale and purchase of the human being as well. So those who were sold off, purchased by somebody else. So this sold person became das, slave. Clear? Hai? The Sioux again, non-Aryans, black skinned, more contrast between Aryans and the Sioux. More contrast. Less contrast between Dasa and the Aryans. We have the contrast. But Aryans were most hostile towards which group? The Sioux. Because their culture was very opposite to Aryan culture. ठीक है? Panis were those who often stole the animals of the Aryans. So Aryans also hostile towards the Panis. Why hostile towards the Panis? Because these Panis were cattle lifters. They stole the cattle of the Aryans. Okay. So Dasa is clear. The Sioux is clear. Panis is clear. Now come to Aryans. Now come to Aryan society. In Rig Veda, we have a reference of a term called Jana. Jana means tribe. It means Aryan society was essentially tribal society. There was no caste system. When Aryans came to India, Aryans division was into tribes, ethnic group, tribes. So what is tribe? What are the features of tribal society? That is the subject matter of society. Aryan, when we speak of tribe, means generally a different ethnic group. Every tribe have their own totem, own custom, maybe own language. Take care. So Aryan society was tribal society, and Jana was the term used for tribe. How many tribes in Rig Veda mentioned? 30 tribes. So 30 tribes in Rig Veda mentioned. Total number of tribes in Rig Veda or total number of Jana in Rig Veda 30. And most important tribe in Rig Veda mentioned was tribe called Bharat. So Bharat was one of the tribes referred in Rig Veda. Very mighty tribe, very powerful tribe. And this Bharat tribe ruled by the king Sudas. Sudas' name is also mentioned in Rig Veda. So Sudas was the king of Bharat tribe. And Bharat tribe was one of the tribes in Rig Veda mentioned out of 30 tribes. Okay. So tribe is clear. Below the tribes we have the clan. Below the tribe we have the clan. Below the clan we have the lineage. And below the lineage we have the family. We are skipping one thing, grama. Grama is not the village here. A group of the people called grama. So family was at the base of society. Family was called as kul. These Rig Vedic terms are very, very important. And we can expect at least one question from Vedic Age. At least one question in the exam. So kula means family. Jana means tribe. ठीक है क्लियर अभी भी ऐसा ही होता है ट्राइब में जैसे वन ट्राइब है उसमें बहुत सारे क्लैन लोग होंगे मिनी क्लैंस क्लैन के नीचे लाइनेज होता है लाइनेज के नीचे फैमिली होता है कुल सो फैमिली वाज ए ज्वाइंट फैमिली देयर वाज नो कंसेप्ट ऑफ न्यूक्लियर फैमिली इन ऋग वैदिक पीरियड दिस फैमिली कंसिस्ट ऑफ husband wife children husbands father grandfathers and all. Even Dasa is also the part of the family. So this family was a joint family, not the nuclear family during the time. Okay? The society was tribal society and this was the social structure of the tribe. mentioned in Rig Veda. So suppose we have a family, Aryan family. In this family, we have the male, we have the female as well, men and women, both. Okay? Society, Aryan society was essentially a patriarchal society and not matriarchal society. Patriarchal means power was in hand of the male member of the family. Every tribe ruled by male king. Not even a single tribe ruled by any women ruler. Not. Means power wielded by male. Patriarchal identity of the son was on the basis of the father, not the mother. Means patrilineal society. But position of the women was very good during time of Rig Vedic period. If we compare women position in later Vedic phase and post Vedic phase, position of women in entire ancient India was the highest during Rig Vedic phase. Very good position of women. Because number one, when in the family a girl child was born, girl child, this was not the symbol of the curse to the family. No lament after birth of the girl child. Later on, when girl child was born in the family, there were lot of lamentations. A curse attached to the family. They started killing the girl child after birth. No such event was during time of Rig Vedic period. Means birth was not a symbol of curse. Birth was welcomed. Though Aryans desired for son, not for the daughters. But if daughter was born, this was not the symbol of the curse to the family. No lament. No lamentations. Okay? After the birth, these girls had right to education. A right to education was not denied to women. And for education, a ritual was performed called Upanayan ritual. Upanayan was very, very important. Upanayan was the token ritual to admit the students, both boys and girls, into education system. Upanayan means in his teacher ritual allowed for girls as well. Sacred thread जैसे थे, ठीक है? So girls allowed for Upanayan means girls can do a study. We have a scholar girls as well, and some of the very learned women they composed some of the hymns of Rig Veda, like Apala. Apala was one of the seers whose name is figured in Rig Veda, and she had composed some hymns of Rig Veda. Apala was highly educated girl during Rig Vedic age. Ghosa also composed some of the hymns of Rig Veda, and both names are mentioned in Rig Veda. Both names, Ghosa and Apala both. And not only Ghosa and Apala, they have name of 7 women in Rig Veda who had composed some of the hymns of Rig Veda. Means women position was very good, very impressive. Educated women. Later on, right to education denied to women. Later on, women became illiterates. No education was given to women. ठीक है? Rig Vedic phase, no parda system, no veil system. No veil system. Women had political right as well. In Rig Vedic phase, women can attend Sabha. Sabha was political assembly. In Rig Veda, women can participate into proceedings of Sabha. Means they had political right as well. ठीक है, आपके यहाँ जो असेंबली है अरुणाचल प्रदेश असेंबली, हाउ मेनी women members there? How many women members? किसी को नहीं मालूम. Your assembly, how many women members? Really? Nobody knows? है कि नहीं women members यहाँ? Hello? Any women chief minister of a state? No. आज तक नहीं. Any minister women here? है. चलो ठीक है, that is a good symbol. बट कम होगा रिप्रेजेंटेशन, कम ही होगा ना. यहाँ देखो असेंबली पार्टिसिपेट करते थे लोग. Women easily took part into Sabha proceedings. Political right as well. Next. ये सब मालूम होना चाहिए आप लोगों को. यू आर सिटिंग फॉर दिस एग्जाम. पूछ देंगे पॉलिटी में पेपर में क्या करोगे बोलो. तो जिस स्टेट में रहते हो तो मालूम होना चाहिए ना कि कितने लोग लेजिस्लेटर है, कितना कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी है. हाउ मेनी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज है? हाउ मेनी सीट्स इन द असेंबली? रियली एनर्जी किसी को नहीं मालूम. आप लोग दूसरे स्टेट के हो गया कहीं के? किस स्टेट के हो आप? रियली नोबडी नोज. हम लोगों को मालूम होता है, आपको नहीं मालूम होता. ये सब थोड़ा पढ़ो आप. दिस मस्ट बी नोन टू एवरीवन. कितना सीट है हमारे पास, कौन कितना वीमेन मेंबर है, कौन कौन क्या प्रोसीडिंग्स है, कैसे कैसे क्या होता है. यू मस्ट नो अबाउट योर एप्लीकेशन. ठीक है, करो काम. पेपर पढ़ते हो आप ना, न्यूज पेपर, बहुत सारा पेपर, उससे क्वेश्चन आएगा. अरुणाचल प्रदेश का ऑफकोर्स वी हैव द सेपरेट क्लासेस, बट आपका भी ड्यूटी बनता है. इतना बेसिक चीज है. ऐसे ही मैंने पूछ लिया, डोंट टेक इट अदरवाइज. ऐसे ही मैंने पूछ लिया कि हाँ कितना क्लास अवेयर है. तो पॉलिटिकल राइट इज क्लियर, विमेन्स राइट इज क्लियर. आफ्टर एजुकेशन we have the concept of marriage. During the time there was no evidence of child marriage. No child marriage. No hymns of Rig Veda speaks of child marriage. Marriage of the girl only after attaining puberty. Once she became the major, then marriage happened. ठीक है. Later on, much later on, around 600 BC, first reference of child marriage appeared. And पहला reference of child marriage का है in the book called Sutra Literature. Later on, after end of Vedic period. ठीक है. So there was no evidence of child marriage during Rig Vedic period. Later Vedic age as well. Earliest reference of child marriage found in the book called Sutra Literature. So position of women during Rig Vedic phase was very good position. No child marriage. ठीक है. At the time of the marriage, no custom of dowry. No dowry. Later on, dowry appeared. In Rig Vedic period, Rig Veda did not talk about dowry. Dowry is the resource given by bride to groom party. No dowry system. ठीक है. Even today we have dowry system. No dowry is illegal. But dowry होता तो है. ठीक है. ट्राइबल में कम होता है. ट्राइबल सोसाइटी में वेरी लेस एविडेंस ऑफ dowry. Mainly in the higher caste. ठीक है. So no dowry system during Rig Vedic period. If suppose for example husband died, then widow have right of remarriage. A remarriage allowed for widows during Rig Vedic period. If husband died, widow, especially young widows, allowed for remarriage. And this remarriage was usually with the brother of the dead husband. So this was a term called niyoga. Niyoga was a sort of levirate. Levirate is a marriage in which the widow is married to brother of deceased husband. So niyoga means remarriage. A remarriage usually was with the brother of the deceased husband. So all these things proves that women position was very good during Rig Vedic age. Okay? So this is all about your social condition of Rig Vedic period. Society of Rig Vedic age. And this society was living in village. No urban society. Society was a rural society. No urban society, no city. Entire Vedic phase, people did not live into towns and cities. They lived into villages. Harappan people living into towns and cities. First urbanization we talked about. Okay? Now come to change in society during later Vedic period. Change. Later Vedic society. Social condition during later Vedic period. Society. Rig Vedic phase, we talked about tribal society, no caste system. A landmark change happened in society during later Vedic phase, and that is emergence of a new system called Varna system. Varna loosely identified with caste. We have difference between Varna and caste, but loosely both are almost same. We have differences as well. So emergence of Varna was during later Vedic phase around 1000 BC when later Vedic phase was about to start. Rig Vedic phase was about to end because first reference of Varna is in Rig Veda. Rig Veda, which book? 10th Mandal. And this 10th Mandal was composed very late at the end of the Rig Vedic phase. So with Varna mentioned in Rig Veda, but in Rig Veda this is mentioned in 10th Mandal, last chapter. So Rig Vedic phase Varna was absent. No presence of Varna. Though we have the term Varna in 10th Mandal Rig Veda. 10th Mandal of Rig Veda. Okay? So what is Varna? We have four social groups, four Varnas. Four Varnas are mentioned in later Vedic text as well, and 10th Mandal of Rig Veda. At the top we have the Brahmanas. Brahmanas whose occupation was prescribed. They can do religious work, they can impart education. So Brahmanas' broad occupation was prescribed. So in Varna we have broad occupations. In caste system we have specific occupation. But in Varna we have broad occupations. Okay? So first is Brahmana. So first is occupation prescription. Second most important feature of Varna is this is birth-based system. Now this became birth-based system. Suppose there is one Brahmana. Son of the Brahmana will be Brahmana. Son of the Brahmana will be Brahmana. You cannot change your Varna. You cannot change your caste. If you are born in a particular Varna, till date you will be in this Varna. So Brahmana's son will be always Brahmana. You cannot change your caste and Varna. You can change your religion, but not your caste. That is the present setup. because we have a system of reservation for Dalits. If higher caste allowed to become the lower caste, nowadays every higher caste will become the lower caste to get reservation, to get the job, to get the educational seats. ठीक है? So Brahmana is clear. Second position given to Kshatriya, ruling, administration, broad occupation. Again birth based. Son of Kshatriya will be Kshatriya. He cannot become the Brahmana. Kshatriya will always be Kshatriya. Third Varna is the Vaisya. Broad occupation was agriculture, trade, commerce and all. Vaisyas, merchants, trade, commerce. Again birth based. Son of the Vaisya will be always Vaisya. You cannot change the Varna. At the bottom we have Sudraj. And Sudraj occupation was serving three higher Varnas. Server. They have to serve Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaisya. It means untouchability was absent for Sudraj. No Sudra denied. Right to education denied to Sudraj. So the three Varnas are called as Dvija. Dvija means twice born. Why called twice born Dvija? Because three Varna had right to education. Upanayan. Allowed. And education was second birth. Because without education, birth is worthless. Upanayan or investiture ritual allowed for the Brahmanas, allowed for the Kshatriya, allowed for the Vaisyas. But for the Sudras, it was not allowed. Means Sudras were now discriminated. They cannot go for education. The Sudras were called as non-Dvija. Means Varna system was undoubtedly discriminated. Discrimination of the Sudras. Why no right to education? Non-Dvija. Non twice born. Because Sudra denied right to education. No Upanayan to Sudraj. Okay? So this is the birth of a new system called Varna system. And this Varna system often called as Chatur Varna. Chatur means four. Chatur means four. Varna means the social division into four orders. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaisya and Sudraj. Still continues. The system still continues. Okay? Means caste system emerged during later Vedic age. Or Varna system emerged during later Vedic age. One is clear. Society, one is clear. Next. Why this happened? Why Varna system emerged? This is not here to do all these things because this is the topic of history optional. कुछ तो रीजन होगा वर्ना सिस्टम आने का. Every event must have the reasons. बिना रीजन के कुछ नहीं होता है. There must be some reason for emergence. Every event have their own reasons. Next. During later Vedic phase, women position now started declining. There must be some reasons for why women position started declining from later Vedic phase onwards. From later Vedic phase onwards, position of the women as compared to their position during early Vedic phase started declining. For example, first time we have emergence of dowry system. And first reference of dowry in Atharva Veda. Atharva Veda is the first book of India in which dowry system is referred. Dowry is the resources given by bride party to groom party at the time of the marriage. Okay? And because money was absent, so dowry was not in form of the money, but in the form of animal wealth, grains as well. A dowry system emerged. Decline of women started. This was the major decline. Then in subsequent time, other events also emerged. We'll discuss those events as well. Take care. Subsequently, we'll talk about other development as well. Society is clear. Social condition is clear. Now come to economy of Rig Vedic age and then economy of later Vedic age. Economic condition. During early Vedic period, economic condition or economy during early Vedic age. The only source is Rig Veda. We have some archaeological excavations as well. So as compared to later Vedic text, the text is very or only one text during Rig Vedic age. Because whatever referred in Rig Veda is our only source of information. Okay? So in Rig Veda, we have more reference of rearing of animals as compared to agriculture. Economy was basically essentially pastoral economy. Rearing of animals was their main occupation. Agriculture mentioned, but as compared to agriculture, more references to rearing of the animals. Agriculture was known. They do the agriculture as well. But as compared to agriculture, more importance was given to rearing of the animals. Means economy was essentially a pastoral economy. Okay? Many animals are referred in Rig Veda. Two domesticated animals very important. One is the cow, other is the horse. Cow for milk. We are not going into whether Aryans were beef eaters or not. Not going. Basically, for milk, Aryans rear the cow. They rear the horse as well. Horse for transportation purpose. They use the horse to draw the chariot, to pull the chariot. They were not the horse riders. They were not the horse riders. They used the horse to draw the chariot, Rath, because many of the things to become cavalryman absent during the time. There were no saddles, no bridles, no rein. Okay? So Aryans' use of the horse was to pull the chariot. So as compared to Harappan civilization, their mode of communication was very fast because horse is very fast animal as compared to ox and buffaloes. Okay? So cow and horse, ज्यादा रेफरेंस किसका है ऋग्वेद में? हॉर्स का है, काउ का है ज्यादा? मोर रेफरेंस टू विच एनिमल? हॉर्स और काउ? मोर टू हॉर्स. 215 times horse, 176 times cow. ऋग्वेद. ठीक है? So economy was basically pastoral economy. They do the agriculture as well. We have reference of agriculture in Rig Veda. Which crop they cultivated? Most popular crop, the staple crop of the Rig Vedic Aryans. Yava. Yava was the barley. Because the area where Aryans were living, Rajasthan, Pakistan area, receives less rainfall. So Aryans cultivated only those crops which can be grown into water deficient areas, like barley, like wheat. Rice was known to the Aryans because in Rig Veda we have the word dhanya bija. Dhanya means rice, bija means seeds, rice seeds. But cultivation of rice was not very popular because rice can be grown only in the area which receives more rainfall. ठीक है? Aryans aware of irrigation, yes or not? They do the irrigation? Yes. Because we have reference of Asma Chakra in the Rig Veda. Asma Chakra was the pulley, wheel, to draw the water from the wheel with the help of the rope. Rope is put over the pulley, wheel, to draw the water from the wheel. So Asma Chakra, the pulley or the wheel, to draw the water from the wheel. So Asma Chakra, these terms are very important. Asma Chakra means pulleyage. And pulleyage were used to draw the water from the wheel. ठीक है? Aryans aware of plough agriculture, yes or no? Plough agriculture? Yes, because in Rig Veda we have reference of many words. Words are very important. Langala. Langala means plough. Also called as Sira. Sira means plough. Reference of Sita. What is Sita? Sita is the furrows. Sita is the furrows. ठीक है? Plough is clear. If we till the soil with help of plowshare. Plowshare is clear. Plowshare के लिए word है फाला. फाला was plowshare. Wooden plowshare. Langala is the plough. Sita is the furrows. So all terms means Aryans do agriculture as well. And Archaeological Survey of India excavated the place called Aligrama in Pakistan. And from Aligrama we have archaeological evidence of a plough field. Plough agricultural field found from Aligrama. Means Aryans do agriculture. They do irrigation as well. ठीक है? देखो terms important है. These terms are very important. ठीक है? Agriculture is clear. Rearing of animals is clear. Rearing of animals is clear. In Rig Veda, we have reference of some trade and commerce as well. Trade and commerce as well. Trade commerce as well. But this trade commerce was local trade, barter trade. This trade was not with the help of coin. Coin was absent. No coinage. In Rig Veda, no coinage mentioned. In the excavations, no any coin found by ASI. Means coin was absent. So system was barter, exchange of goods for goods. ठीक है? No coinage. थोड़ा सा controversy है इसमें. In Rig Veda, we have the word called Niska. Niska was not a coin. Niska was gold ornament. Niska was gold ornament and not a coin. ठीक है? So gold ornament used by the Aryans. Aryans also aware of copper called Ayas. Iron was not known to Rig Vedic Aryans. Ayas means copper. Niska means gold. No coinage. In many of the books, it is written that Niska was a coin, which is not correct. Because if coin could have been present during the time from the excavation, like Aligrama, any piece of coin could have been found by ASI, which is not. So coin was absent. ठीक है? So this is all about Rig Vedic economy. ठीक है? Now come to later Vedic economy. later Vedic phase economy. Later Vedic period, LVP, later Vedic period, a later Vedic phase, change in the economy. Aryans during the time moved to UP and Bihar areas. This area being fertile, very fertile area. World's most fertile soil, alluvial soil, in UP and Bihar areas. And this is the reason why Aryans' main occupation now became agriculture. Change in the geography explains change in the economy. Because Aryans had moved to most fertile land of the world with alluvial soils, with plenty of the rainfall. So Aryans' main occupation now became agriculture. And in this agriculture, the staple crop now became rice. Rice became the staple crop of the later Vedic period because of rainfall, more than 100 centimeter rainfall, fit for rice cultivation. And in later Vedic literatures, various terms for rice used. These terms are very important. Like Brihi. Brihi means rice. Tandul, rice. Sali, rice. Sastika, rice. Now this Sastika ripens in 60 days. Sastika ripens in 60 days. So these all are the terms for rice. अभी भी महाराष्ट्र में राइस को तांदुल बोलते हैं. तांदुल, राइस ही तांदुल अभी बोलते हैं महाराष्ट्र में. आप लोग क्या बोलते हो राइस को? व्हाट इज टर्म फॉर राइस हियर? चावल. वो तो हिंदी टर्म है. चावल है तो हिंदी. अच्छा डिफरेंट पता नहीं और डिफरेंट होगा कुछ. ठीक है. सो व्हाई एग्रीकल्चर राइस बिकेम इम्पोर्टेंट? देखो ज्यादा डिस्कस नहीं करेंगे, बहुत ज्यादा करने पे हो जाए. अभी राइस को कैसे जो अभी हाउ टू डू द राइस कल्टीवेशन नाउ? अभी कैसे लगाते हैं राइस को? न्यू मेथड इज यूज नाउ. उस मेथड को बोलते हैं ट्रांसप्लांटेशन मेथड, विच इज एब्सेंट ड्यूरिंग द टाइम. ट्रांसप्लांटेशन मेथड का मतलब होता है द प्लकिंग ऑफ सैपलिंग्स फ्रॉम वन फील्ड एंड ट्रांसफर दिस सैपलिंग टू अदर फील्ड. इससे इल्ड ज्यादा होता है, प्रोडक्शन ज्यादा होता है. सो दिस मेथड इज अ न्यू मेथड, ट्रांसप्लांटेशन मेथड. इसके एक टर्म होता था प्लासुक. प्लासुका मीन्स ट्रांसप्लांटेशन मेथड which was absent during the time. बहुत बाद में मर्ज होता है. During the time method was only broadcasting method. मतलब एक बार सीड्स को छिड़क दिया and no transfer of the saplings. उस मेथड को बोलते हैं ब्रॉडकास्टिंग मेथड ऑफ राइस कल्टीवेशन. अब ये कहीं नहीं होता है बिकॉज प्रोडक्शन इसमें बहुत कम होता है. सो लेटर वैदिक एज देयर वाज नो प्लासुक मेथड. Plasuk means transplantation of the rice. Transplantation method. Only broadcasting method was used for rice cultivation. इसलिए प्रोडक्शन थोड़ा कम होता था. ठीक है, क्लियर है? So agriculture became the main basis of the economy. Besides agriculture, they also practiced pastoralism, rearing of the animals. They also do trade and commerce, but still coin was absent. Barter system. Entire Vedic period, coin being absent. First evidence of coin after end of Vedic period. जो सबसे ओल्डेस्ट क्वाइन मिला है हमारे पास वो दैट इज आफ्टर एंड ऑफ वैदिक एज. और उसका डेटिंग किया गया है 500 BC. So before 500 BC, no evidence of coins in India. Oldest coins of India goes back to 500 BC. And such coins were called as punch-marked coins. Punch-marked coins. Punching के through होता है. Punching of symbols on such coins. On such coins, we don't have the writings. So such coins also called as uninscribed coins. No writing. The study of coin is called as numismatics. So numismatics is a branch of history which was absent during entire Vedic period. After end of Vedic period, numismatics emerged. Numismatics is the scientific study of coins. Oldest coins are punch-marked coins. और जितना coins excavation में मिला है, कहाँ रखा हुआ है अभी? All these coins lies where? कहाँ? गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का म्यूजियम होता है. म्यूजियम्स. नेशनल म्यूजियम न्यू दिल्ली सबसे बड़ा म्यूजियम है. ओल्डेस्ट म्यूजियम कलकत्ता म्यूजियम. ओल्डेस्ट. तो म्यूजियम से में रखा हुआ है सब. All these coins are kept into museum. Museum comes under किसके अंदर आता है? ASI. ASI किसके अंदर आता है? कल्चर मिनिस्ट्री. मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कल्चर. ठीक है. So this is all about your economy of the Vedic period. Any questions from economy? Early Vedic, later Vedic, both? Any doubt, any question from economy? So we talked about society. We talked about economy, both is over now. Now come to early Vedic period. Political development. Early Vedic phase or Rig Vedic period, political development. And then we'll come and discuss about later Vedic period, political developments. और दोनों को मिला देंगे तो वैदिक हो जाएगा. वैदिक पॉलिटी. ठीक है. So firstly come to early Vedic polity. ठीक है. In Rig Veda we have reference of king. We have reference of 30 tribe, 30 jana. Every tribe ruled by their king. Means we have kingship. And king was called as Rajan. Rajan was the king. Means polity was kingship polity because kings mentioned in Rig Veda. Like we talked about one of the tribes out of 30 tribes, Bharat. And Bharat tribe was ruled by King Sudas. Sudas was the king of Bharat tribe. ठीक है. It means kingship was present during the time. And this kingship number one was not elective, it was hereditary. Means after death of the king, his son was to become the king. After death of the father, son. After death of son, his own son. ठीक है. The reason is before Sudas, his father was the king of same Bharat tribe. And before his father, his grandfather was also the king of same tribe. Means kingship was hereditary, birth-based. Son of the king had claim over the kingship. So kingship was hereditary kingship. ठीक है. But this kingship was not the despotic kingship. The king was not arbitrary king, not despotic king, because power of the king was checked by various other mechanisms. Like, for example, we have reference of a body called Sabha. In Rig Veda, Sabha is mentioned. What was Sabha? Sabha was political assembly of elders of the tribe, elders plus women as well. They took part into Sabha proceedings, and Sabha discussed political issue concerning that tribe. And this king cannot outrightly reject the view of the Sabha. But the view of Sabha was check on the power of the king, because king had to respect the view of the Sabha. And Sabha was assembly of older people of the tribe, women of that tribe, both participated in this Sabha. Not only Sabha, Samiti as well. Samiti was the political assembly of all the members of that tribe, young members as well. So both Sabha and Samiti, acted as check on the power of the king. So kingship was not a despotic kingship, a arbitrary kingship. We don't have democracy. We have the king. But king was not dictator. King was not despotic. ठीक है. Next. King rule. Say, rule of the king was over land on the people. Whether land or the people. Not the land. King during that time rule over not the land. That was on the people, because every tribe have the king. So here we have the people ruled by the king. So king was king not of the land here. King was the king of Jana. Jana means collection of the people, tribe. Clear hai? And these people were required to pay the tax to the king, because no state can survive without taxation system. The people have to pay the tax, only then the state can survive. So in Rig Veda, only one tax is mentioned. The people have to pay this tax to the king, and this tax was Bali. Bali was the only tax. Bali was only tax referred in Rig Veda. And people pay the Bali as a tax, not in the form of coin. Coin was absent. So people pay Bali tax in the form of animal wealth or grain, not the land, not the money. ठीक है. Bali was voluntary और compulsory. क्या होना चाहिए? मतलब मन करेगा तो देगा, और मन नहीं करेगा तो नहीं देगा, या देना है कंपलसरी. क्या होना चाहिए? कॉमन सेंस यूज करते हैं. Bali was voluntary और कंपलसरी. अगर मान लो टैक्स को बोलेगा सरकार की वॉलंटरी है, देना है तो दो, मत दो, कौन देगा टैक्स सरकार को? Nobody can pay the tax if the tax is voluntary. इसलिए वॉलंटरी का कोई क्वेश्चन ही नहीं. It was compulsory, but king had list officials. इसका जो कलेक्शन था that was irregular. कलेक्शन was irregular. ऐसा नहीं है कि 31 जुलाई है इनकम टैक्स फाइल करना है आपको, ये डेडलाइन है आपका, इसके बाद फाइल करोगे तो पेनल्टी लगेगा. बिकॉज अभी तो बहुत ऑफिसर है सरकार के पास. एआई का भी यूज होता है टैक्स के लिए. एआई पकड़ता है टैक्स ना, एआई आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस. तो कलेक्शन वाज इरेगुलर बिकॉज ऑफिसर से वेरी लेस. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि बनी वाज ए वॉलंटरी टैक्स. इट वाज नॉट ए वॉलंटरी टैक्स, इट वाज ए कंपल्सरी टैक्स. बिकॉज ऋग वेद का कुछ हिम भी है, उसमें इन्वोकेशन ऑफ गॉड टू कंपेल द पीपल टू पे द बनी, मतलब कोर्सन वाज यूज्ड. हाउ कैन इट बी वॉलंटरी टैक्स? कैन नॉट बी वॉलंटरी. सो बलि वॉज नॉट ए वॉलंटरी टैक्स. समझ में आया नहीं? बलि वॉज नॉट ए वॉलंटरी, बलि ऑलवेज कंपल्सरी. नॉट वॉलंटरी. वॉलंटरी होगा तो कौन टैक्स देगा आप बताओ? नोबडी कैन पे द टैक्स इफ द टैक्स इज वॉलंटरी. ठीक है, कंपल्सरी है तब तो लोग टैक्स इवेट करता है इतना. और अगर वॉलंटरी कर दिया जाए, हु कैन पे द टैक्स? ठीक है, ओनली वन टैक्स. तो एक टैक्स से कैसे स्टेट चलेगा बताओ आप? So one of the reasons why king's power was very limited because king had least resource at the disposal. One is the body. दूसरा क्या होता था? This state or king fought wars against other tribe of the Aryan or even non-Aryans as well. So whatever captured in this war also got the resource for the king. तो जो वार में कैप्चर होता था, that was called as लोकतरा. These terms are very very important. What was लोकतरा? लोकतरा was war booty or spoils of the war. All the resources, which resources? Animal wealth. All the resources, primarily animal wealth, captured by the victorious king in the war, was called as लोकतरा. ऋग वेद में एक वार का रेफरेंस है, very important war, and this war is called as Battle of 10 Kings. Battle of 10 Kings, referred in Rig Veda. Why called 10 Kings? Because एक side we have Sudas, king of Vada tribe, and the Sudas fought the war against confederacy of 10 kings. So this was called as Battle of 10 Kings. 10 kings together, they fought the war against king called Sudas, who was the king of Vada tribe. कहाँ war हुआ था ये? Where this war was fought? This war was fought in Punjab, around river Ravi, and this river Ravi in Rig Veda was called as Parusni. डिस्कस किया था सर. ठीक है, क्लियर? तो यहां से भी रिसोर्स आता था किंग को, और टैक्सेशन वाज मोर इंपॉर्टेंट. ठीक है, सो दिस इज ऋग वैदिक पॉलिटी. वी हैव द किंगशिप. किंगशिप वाज नॉट इलेक्टिव, किंगशिप वाज हेरिडिटरी बर्थ बेस्ड सिस्टम. वी हैव सभा समिति एज द चेक ऑन द पावर ऑफ द किंग. किंग के पास आर्मी होता था कि नहीं? आर्मी. whether king had the army, yes or not? Use the common sense always. King had to fight the war. How king can fight the war without army? Army was present, but this army was not the permanent army. It was temporary army. Army को बोलते थे सेना. So सेना mentioned in Rig Veda, but this army was not the permanent army throughout the year maintained by the king. It was temporary army. When the war was over, army was disbanded. ठीक है, क्लियर है? जो पहला किंग है इंडिया का, वो स्टार्टेड मेंटेनिंग रेगुलर परमानेंट आर्मी आफ्टर एंड ऑफ वैदिक पीरियड, एंड दिस किंग वाज बिंबिसार, किंग ऑफ मगध. बिंबिसार वाज फर्स्ट किंग ऑफ इंडिया, किंग ऑफ मगध, हु स्टार्टेड मेंटेनिंग रेगुलर परमानेंट आर्मी थ्रू आउट द ईयर. यहीं से स्टार्ट होता है किंग मेंटेनिंग रेगुलर आर्मी, परमानेंट आर्मी after end of Vedic period. So this is all about your early Vedic polity. Now come to later Vedic polity. Later Vedic age. ठीक है, Rig Vedic, any doubt? This is more than sufficient for your exam. More than sufficient. इसे बाहर ज्यादा मत पढ़ना, और इतने से हो जाएगा आपका सारा काम. ठीक है, Later Vedic, Rig Vedic, any doubt, any question, anyone in the class? Huh? Sorry? हाँ नहीं, आर्यन भी थे, इसमें कुछ नॉन आर्यन भी थे। 10 किंग्स में अधिकतर आर्यंस थे और कुछ नॉन आर्यंस भी थे। अब ये कौन कौन ट्राइब था, सबका नाम है, वो उतना नहीं पूछेगा आपको, इतना थोड़े पूछेगा कि विच ट्राइब टू पार्ट इन टू 10 किंग्स बैटल। अगर पूछेगा तो जैसा इस साल का पेपर था वैसा हो जाए, दिस ईयर यूपीएससी पेपर, सिविल सर्विसेज पेपर, वैसा बहुत कम चांस है, वंस इन ए वाइल्ड होता है ऐसा। अब लगता नहीं कि ऐसा फिर पेपर रिपीट करेगा लोग, बिकॉज इस बार बहुत बदनामी हुआ है यूपीएससी का। ठीक है, लिटिगेशन में भी चला गया तो हुआ लिटिगेशन ना, देयर आर सम क्वेश्चंस वेरी डाउटफुल क्वेश्चंस, आंसर सही नहीं है सर, 8 क्वेश्चंस, 16 मार्क्स हो गया। एनीवे उसका नहीं पूछेगा, बट सम नॉन आर्यंस आल्सो टुक पार्ट इनटू दिस वर्क, प्राइमरली आर्यन, सम नॉन आर्यन सर्टिफिकेट 10 किंग्स में, ही वर डेफिनेटली आर्यन सुदास। ठीक है, क्लियर है? नाउ कम टू लेटर वैदिक फेज, नाउ कम टू लेटर वैदिक पीरियड। लेटर वैदिक फेज, पॉलिटिकल डेवलपमेंट्स, पॉलिटी, यहाँ ज्यादा सोर्स है हमारे पास, देयर मोर सोर्सेस। ऋग वैदिक में देखिए सोर्स है ऋग वेद, यहाँ पे त्रिवेद, ब्राह्मणास, सम उपनिषद्स, other text as well, we talked about the texts. So later Vedic phase में again we have the kingship, again we have kingship, king called as Rajan, same Rajan, same kingship, but this kingship was different from Rig Vedic kingship. In Rig Veda, king was the king of the people, but here the king became the king of the land. So we have reference of Janpad. Janpad means kingdom. जन का मतलब होता है ट्राइब और कलेक्शन ऑफ द पीपल, पद मीन्स फुट, so where the people put their foot, land, that became janpad. So janpad means kingdom, so king is now king of janpad and not the jan. Rig Vedic phase में king was the king of jan, means people, here king was the king of janpad, land on which the people lived. So we have reference of janpad. First is clear. Second, power of the king now increased as compared to powers of early Vedic kings. So king's power now increased during later Vedic age. The reason was obvious. The reason, for example, being Sabha and Samiti, their position power declined. Meeting of Sabha, meeting of Samiti became very infrequent. Sabha Samiti were present, but meetings became very infrequent, irregular meeting. So check on the power of the king decreased. Sabha Samiti, so king power increased. So one of the reasons for increase in power of the kings was decrease in powers of Sabha and Samiti during later Vedic period. ठीक है, next, king started appointing his own officers, and these officers were doing administrative work and all these things on behalf of the king. So king's officers were called as Ratnins. So Ratnins were officers of the king appointed by the king, discharged the duty on instruction of the king. In later Vedic period, we have reference of 12 such officers called Ratnins. So Ratnins appeared during later Vedic period. Ratnins were 12 in number, who were king's officers. So king power increased. Next, as compared to Rig Vedic age, king now started collecting more resources, more taxes from the people. Bali continued. Bali still continued. Besides Bali, for the first time a new tax appeared. Tax paid by the peasants to the state or king. This tax is called as Bhaga. Bhaga was land revenue. Because agriculture became the main occupation now. So those who were doing agriculture called peasants. So peasant have to pay a part of the produce to the state. Part का मतलब होता है भागा. Usually the rate of land revenue paid by the peasant to a state was 1/6 of the gross production, not the net production, gross. Land revenue was always charged on gross production and not on the net production. तो बर्डन ज्यादा था कि कम था पीजेंट पे? अगर ग्रॉस पे चार्ज करेंगे तो पीजेंट पे बर्डन ज्यादा होगा कम होगा? अगर नेट पे चार्ज करेंगे तो कम होगा ज्यादा होगा? किस पे ज्यादा होगा? व्हाट इज ग्रॉस एंड व्हाट इज नेट इज क्लियर. ग्रॉस प्रोडक्शन, ग्रॉस में लेबर को घटा दो, इनपुट को घटा दो, दैट बिकम द नेट प्रोडक्शन. तो ग्रॉस पे चार्ज करते थे, इसका मतलब बर्डन पे पीजेंट पे ज्यादा था, हेवी बर्डन ऑन द पीजेंट बिकॉज land revenue charged on gross production and not on the net production. पूरे ancient India, पूरे medieval India में always on the gross production and never on the net production. Net पे होना चाहिए था. ठीक है? So new tax emerged, Bhaga tax, and this Bhaga from later Vedic age onwards continued up to 1947. यहाँ से लेकर के 1947 तक land revenue required to be paid by the peasant to state. इंडिपेंडेंस के बाद ऑलमोस्ट खत्म ही हो गया लैंड रेवेन्यू. एग्रीकल्चर इज नाउ टैक्स फ्री ऑलमोस्ट. ठीक है? सो फ्रॉम लेटर वैदिक फेज ऑनवर्ड्स लैंड रेवेन्यू वाज द मेन सोर्स ऑफ स्टेट इनकम. तो पूरे एंशिएंट इंडिया में लैंड रेवेन्यू बोलते थे भाग. दिल्ली सल्तनत में दिस वाज कॉल्ड एज खराज. लैंड रेवेन्यू वाज कॉल्ड एज खराज during Delhi Sultanate. Land revenue was called as mal during Mughal period. English time में, Britishers के time में, it was called as lagan or land revenue. Terms are important. What was bhaga? What was kharaj? What was mal? Land revenue. What was lagan? Land revenue. Rate अलग अलग है सबका. Rate keeps changing. सबसे ज्यादा रेट ऑफ लैंड रेवेन्यू एंशिएंट इंडिया में था, मेडिवल इंडिया में था या मॉडर्न इंडिया में था? कब था? मैक्सिमम लैंड रेवेन्यू कब होना चाहिए? अप्लाई द कॉमन सेंस ऑलवेज. कब होना चाहिए बताओ? मॉडर्न इंडिया में सबसे ज्यादा, अंडर इंग्लिश रूल सबसे ज्यादा, मैक्सिमम अंडर इंग्लिश रूल. सबसे हेवीएस्ट लैंड रेवेन्यू पीजेंट हैव टू पे टू द ब्रिटिशर्स, मोर देन 50%. ठीक है? क्लियर है? So this is all about your polity of the time. Last topic, last part is our religion. Rig Vedic, later Vedic, religion, belief. ठीक है? Any questions from polity? Rig Vedic, later Vedic, both? Any doubt? Religion during early Vedic period. And then we come and discuss about change in belief system during later Vedic phase. Firstly, Rig Vedic period. ठीक है. In Rig Veda we have reference of gods and goddesses. Various gods and goddesses are mentioned in Rig Veda. How many gods and goddesses in Rig Veda mentioned? How many gods and goddesses? How many gods and goddesses in Rig Veda? 33. A reference of 33 gods and goddesses worshipped by the Aryans in Rig Veda. Means Aryans had belief into worship of more than one god. More than one god. Means they believe into polytheism, not monotheism. Belief into worship of various gods. Polytheistic religion. But no god was worshipped in the form of idol. Idol worship was absent. No idol worship. Absent. Because there were no idol worship, no temple worship as well. So no practice of putting of the idol into temple. So both idol worship and temple worship was absent during Rig Vedic age. They believe into God. They worship the God. But there was no practice of giving God in shape of idols. Okay? They imagine the shape of the God. Imagination is there. Indra with the long hand, that is there. But no any statue of Indra with the long hand found. And no any statue of Indra mentioned in Rig Veda. Idol worship is absent. Shape is imagined. Indra with the long hand. Imagined. ठीक है. इस्लाम में क्या है? Allah is formless. And no form is imagined even. Islam. No form is imagined. Allah is formless. But here, form is imagined, but never given the shape of that. ठीक है? Clear है? So both was absent. Coming of idol worship, temple worship, much later. Much later. Idol worship appeared. Temple worship also appeared much later during post-Mauryan period. After 200 BC. ठीक है? Then how they worship the god? Worship was mainly through prayers. Worship was mainly through prayers, mantra. Rig Veda is collection of the mantra, prayers. So worship was through prayers. And along with the prayers, some token, rituals, they also perform for gods, goddesses. Sacrifices as well. Slaughter of the animals is called as sacrifices. Ritual matlab yagya. They lit the fire, put the offerings into fire. These offerings in the form of a smoke can go to the god. So they do the yagya. Yagya is the ritual. And for the yagya, they construct fire altar. Fire altar was usually in triangular shape at public place. In this triangular shape structure, offerings are put into fire. So this is a fire altar. Fire altar, usually triangular in shape. To lit the fire, to put the offering into fire. So, but as compared to ritual sacrifice, more importance was given to prayers during Rig Vedic period. ठीक है? Rig Veda is collection of prayers. Prayers to various gods, goddesses. 33 gods, goddesses. ठीक है? Out of 33 gods and goddesses, as compared to goddess, more importantly gods. As compared to goddesses, more importance was to gods. We have reference of goddess as well. goddess as well. ठीक है? But more hymns were for gods and list for the goddesses. Means gods being more important than goddess. And within the gods, three are very important. Three main god. Three chief god of the Aryans. Rig Vedic Age. Three main gods. Three chief gods. At the top was god called Indra. Indra was the chief god. Because maximum hymns of Rig Veda dedicated to Indra god. 250 hymns. 250 alone for Indra god. 50 other for Indra plus other gods. 250 hymns alone for Indra god. Maximum ever. ठीक है? More hymn, more importance. Indra was the god of rainfall. Rain god. Rain important for them because rain brings the pasture. If pasture is very plentiful pasture, rearing of more animals is possible. So Aryans prayed to the Indra god, and if rain happened, Aryans believed that this is the mercy of Indra god. But Aryans were not aware how the rain is happening. They didn't have knowledge of El Nino. No knowledge. No knowledge of monsoon. If rain happened, Aryans believed that this must be action of some supernatural god. मान लो कुछ हो रहा है, पता नहीं है क्यों हो रहा है, लगे भगवान कर रहे हैं, होता कि नहीं है? अगर हमको मालूम हो जाए कि ये काम ऐसे हो रहा है, एरोप्लेन इज फ्लाइंग, वाई फ्लाइंग वी नो, लेकिन बहुत पहले अगर एरोप्लेन होता तो कोई गॉड उड़ा रहे हैं एरोप्लेन, होता कि नहीं बताओ आप? वही हाल है यहाँ भी. तो इंद्र वॉज द रेनफॉल. इंद्र ऑल्सो वॉज द वार गॉड. टू विन द वार आर्यंस वर्शिप्ड इंद्र गॉड. Indra is called as Purandar. Purandar means destroyer of enemy's forts. To win the war, Aryans worshipped Indra god. Indra god also called as Purandar god. Purandar means destroyer of the forts of the enemies. Purandar. So Indra was both rainfall god and war god. Formless god, not idol. As we discussed, Indra is imagined as Indra god with long arms. फॉर्म इमेजिन है, इस्लाम में इमेजिन नहीं है फॉर्म. ठीक है? फर्स्ट इज क्लियर, इंद्र इज क्लियर. आफ्टर इंद्र, सेकेंड मैक्सिमम हिम ऑफ ऋग वेदा डेडिकेटेड फॉर अग्नि गॉड. 200 hymns. 200 hymns of ऋग वेदा dedicated for Agni god, fire god. Without Agni, no worship is possible. So Indra was a god, Agni was a god, and besides the god, Agni was also intermediate god, mediate between worshipper and other god. Suppose we have to worship Indra god, so we have to put the offerings for Indra god. Offering into Agni, the offering will turn into a smoke. The smoke will go to Indra god. So Agni god was the intermediary god or intermediate god. Without Agni, no worship was possible for any god. ठीक है? Agni was the fire god. Next was Varun god. Varun god. Varun was god of water. Water god. Celestial god as well. Both. Varun lived in heaven, sky, control all the cosmic order, day, night, change in the season. All were the action of Varun god. How day is happening, how night is happening, how season changes. And he has no knowledge. And he believed that this was action of the god goddesses. So they started worshipping Varun god. ठीक है? So three chief gods of Rig Vedic period. Surya god as well. Some hymn for Surya god. Some goddess as well. Like Aditi goddess, mother goddess, Usa goddess, god of early morning, dawn. Ratri goddess, goddess of night. But hymns are very few for goddesses. For some, only one hymn. So as compared to male gods, position of female god is being least important. Okay? So this is all about your Rig Vedic religion. And why people worship the gods goddess? What was the basic primary factor, reason for worship? कुछ तो reason होगा. Why the worship? Worship was for material advantage and not spiritual. Like, oh God, give me large number of animals. Oh God, give me brave sons. There were no desire of the Aryans that, oh God, give me spiritual upliftment. Oh God, give me moksha, not. So worship was for material gain, animal, winning of the war, एग्जाम पास करना है, ऐसा वाला सब. ठीक है? Not for spiritual gain. I mean, this religion was not spiritual, essentially material. To win the war. वार विन करके करेंगे क्या? उसका रिसोर्स को कैप्चर कर लेंगे, उसका एनिमल वेल्थ को हम ले लेंगे. ठीक है? क्लियर है? नाउ कम टू लास्ट लेटर वैदिक रिलीजन. ऋग वैदिक, एनी डाउट? रिलीजन से कोई डाउट? नाउ कम टू लास्ट लेटर वैदिक रिलीजन. लेटर वैदिक फेज में न्यू गॉड्स अपीयर्ड. इंद्र लॉस्ट इंपॉर्टेंस, Agni lost importance, Varun lost importance. Three chief god now. One is Prajapati god. Prajapati, later called as Brahma god, creator god, Brahma god. So in place of Indra god, three main gods appeared during later Vedic age. One was the Prajapati god, creator god, later called as Brahma god, but still there was no idol worship, no idol, no temple. Presently, Brahma god worshipped in idol form. And for Brahma god, we have the temple presently. Only two temples in India. One in Rajasthan, Pushkar, other Tamil Nadu. So this Brahma god is not very popular god in Hinduism. So during the time, no temple worship and no idol worship. Worship of Brahma god was mainly through now rituals and sacrifices. Rituals and sacrifices. Rig Vedic phase mainly prayer. Later Vedic phase mainly rituals and sacrifices. There must be some reason for this change. Okay? And we talked about earlier very elaborate, complex ritual, rules of the ritual, for how long this ritual can go on, how to start, when to conclude, how to conclude, all described into Yajurveda. Yajurveda is the book of rituals, book of sacrifices. How many animals are to be sacrificed in this ritual? List is given. Numbers is given. ठीक है? So Brahma God worship was mainly through rituals and sacrifices. So Brahma God was creator God. Besides Brahma God, second God Second chief god was Vishnu. Vishnu. ठीक है. Vishnu was protector god, creator god Prajapati, protector god Vishnu. Protection to the universe by Vishnu. No idol worship, no temple worship. Worship through rituals and sacrifices. In Rig Veda, Vishnu god is mentioned or not? ऋग वेद में. ऋग वेद विष्णु गॉड का रेफरेंस है या नहीं? ऋग वेद में रेफरेंस है. बट दिस विष्णु वाज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम लेटर वैदिक विष्णु. लेटर वैदिक फेज में विष्णु वाज द चीफ गॉड, प्रोटेक्टर गॉड. ऋग वैदिक में विष्णु वाज द माइनर गॉड एंड कंपेनियन ऑफ सोलर गॉड, सूर्य गॉड. So Vishnu is mentioned, but it was the minor god, companion of solar god. Later Vedic age, Vishnu became protector god and chief god. ठीक है. No temple worship, no idol worship. Third was Arudra god. Arudra. Rudra later called as Shiva god, destroyer god. But still no temple and no idol. Worship was mainly through rituals and sacrifices. So rituals emerged as the prime method of worship. Through ritual we can worship the gods and goddesses. In this ritual, some are very important rituals. Some are very important rituals. उस पर क्वेश्चन होता है. Some are very important. Usually performed by king. Performed by king. Rituals. Like one of the rituals was Ashwamedha. Ashwamedha Yagya or Ashwamedha ritual. Ashwamedha. Ashwa means horse. Medha means sacrifice. Horse, sacrifice, ritual. Ashwamedha. ठीक है. Suppose this is the kingdom ruled by a king. Janpad ruled by a king, Rajan. We have other Janpad ruled by other king. So this king, if want to perform this yagya, what he will have to do? One horse he will set loose to travel or roam around the surrounding areas. Horse. And this horse was protected by the soldiers, army of the king. And wherever this horse roam around, all these areas symbolically comes under control of this king. And if this horse detained by this any other king, this king have to fight the war against this king who detained the horse. So after roaming around this horse for about 2 years even, horse was brought back to same spot where the horse was sacrificed along with other animals. So this ritual is called as Ashwamedha ritual. What was the purpose of this ritual? King, without fighting the war, have to prove his strength over other areas. So he organized Ashwamedha Yagya. Clear hai? So Ashwamedha Yagya was performed by only powerful, mighty kings. Sacrifice of the horse, along with one horse, 600 bulls sacrificed. In this Ashwamedha Yagya. Last day, 21 cows sacrificed. Last day. This ritual lasted for 3 days. In these 3 days, we have sacrifice of slaughter of so many animals, 600 bulls, 1 horse, 21 cows last day. ठीक है. Ashwamedha is clear. Next. Next, other important ritual of yajna was, sorry, other important ritual, Rajasua. I will take only 5 minutes. बस खत्म हो रहा है. So we talked about Aswamedha Yajna. Next is Rajasua ritual, also very important. This was coronation ritual. This was performed by chief priest to coronate the king and the king. So coronation of the king and the king through this ritual. Very complex ritual. ठीक है? When king became very old, grey king, old king, this old king performed a ritual. Old king performed a ritual, that is chariot race ritual. Chariot race ritual, or also called as Bajapaya Yajna. Baja means strength. Paya means drinking. Drinking of strength. Baja means strength. Paya means drinking. Literally, it means drinking of strength. What was this ritual? When king became very old. Suppose this is the king, very old king. And this king had to prove his might, physical might. So to prove his physical might, a chariot race was organized. In this chariot race, this old king took part into this race along with 16 young competitors. 16 young competitors took part into this race along with very old king taking part into this chariot race. And all the 16 competitors willingly allowed the king to win the race. To prove that even in the old age, this king is too powerful to defeat the younger competitors. So all had symbolic significance, political significance. So three ritual we talked about, performed by King Sarajan. Okay? So this was all about your Vedic culture, economy, society, polity and religion. इतना सा हो जाएगा. This is more than sufficient for your exam. And we expect at least one question from Vedic period. One from Harappa, one from Vedic. होना चाहिए. We are only can assume. अब कौन सेट करेगा, कैसे सेट करता है, we are not concerned about the mechanism of the paper setting. Not. हमारा ड्यूटी क्या है? पढ़ना ड्यूटी है ना बस. पहले ही बताया ड्यूटी करो अपना. भागवत गीता. Do the duty. Honest duty. ठीक है? So this is all about your Vedic. Tomorrow, post Vedic. कुछ डाउट है पूछ लीजिए.